Hello everybody, welcome to another video brought to you by Simple Dudes, Simple Foods. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and solve once and for all, with your help, the big question, which is better, chicken and dumplings or chicken and, we'll call them biscuits, or drop dumplings, the type that you drop on the top and then puff up into biscuits on the top, or the type that you wind up rolling the dough out, cutting into strips, and then dropping into the chicken broth as it's cooking. So we're going to go ahead and make both versions. But we're going to start with going ahead and getting our chicken boiled so that we can get a nice broth. So what you want to do is take your pot, fill it up with some water, go ahead and salt and pepper your water because this is going to be your broth that we're using for our chicken and dumplings or chicken and biscuits, whichever you want to call it or whichever style you make. I'm using chicken legs or you can use chicken thighs. I like to use those because you're going to get some fat from the dark meat and the dark cuts of the chicken. Whereas if you use just like boneless, skinless chicken breast, there's not much fat there, so you're not going to get nearly as much flavor in your chicken broth. So if you can do the dark meat, do that. If you're just, no way, I'm doing just chicken breast, then you're probably going to want to maybe half your water and go ahead and add some chicken broth stock that you buy in the cans or in the cardboard containers. That's up to you, but you do want to have nice flavor in your broth. So that's the start of it. That's where we're at. We're going to let these go ahead. I've got them turned on. We're going to bring them up, let them boil. Once they boil, we're going to go ahead and I'll pull the meat off the bone, so I'm not going to bore you with all that. So when we see you next, I'm going to go ahead and be ready to go as far as I'm going to divide it into a smaller pot. So we'll have one pot going with the chicken and biscuit type, and we'll have this bigger pot going with the chicken and dumplings type that you're going to drop into the broth that is cooking. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. All right, everybody, we're back and we've got our chicken done as far as being boiled up. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off the bone so we can use that back in the broth in just a little bit. But I got a tip for you here, because what happens a lot of times when you're boiling your chicken, you're going to see that your liquid is reducing, it's steaming up. So you want to make sure you're adding more water to your broth as it's cooking. However, you may still wind up with not quite enough. So what we've done is we had some chicken broth up in the freezer, because anytime you boil chicken, save that broth. You can take and put it in a freezer bag, Ziploc bag, whatever type you want, put it in a Tupperware container, anything you want to do, but you can freeze the broth and then use it later. So I've added another 2.5 cups or so, 3 cups of frozen broth too. You can see here, this is where it was frozen, so chunked up. I'm adding this into, and I've already had some in here, it's melted down, but I'm adding that into the broth that I have so we can bring that level of liquid up. We're going to need that when we go ahead and start to add in our dumplings. So just remember, save your chicken broth. If you're making chicken for something else, you're boiling the chicken, freeze the broth. That way you can use it for later or for any other recipes that you want, rather than going to the store and buying it. So a little money saving deal. The broth comes free with the chicken, so you might as well save it. So we'll see you back in just a little bit. All right, folks, it's time now to go ahead and make the dumplings. This is going to be the mix that we're going to do. We're going to mix it up. We have 2.25 cups of the biscuit, and we have 2/3 cup of milk. We're going to add most of the milk, but we're going to leave a little bit left. We don't want to overdo it because we don't want this to be runny and sticky. We want this to be a little bit firmer. Because we're going to roll it out, we're going to slice it into strips, and we're going to drop it in here once this is boiling. Now, before anything else, keep your chicken out of the boiling water so you have room to drop your strips in. We'll show you this in a little bit. If your chicken's in there, it kind of gets in the way. Chicken's out of the way until you get all your dumplings in there. Then you can add, after you get all your dumplings in, add the chicken in, and then we're going to cover it and let it cook for about 15 minutes. Okay, but we're going to drop these into the little boiling areas of the pot. So I'm going to mix this up here real quick. So again, 2.25 cups of the biscuit, 2/3 cup of milk. I'm going to add most of that. I'm going to leave some out. We'll go ahead and stir this up here. And we just want this to be a nice, kind of a little bit on the thick side. May have to add all the milk there. Might even need just a little bit more. We don't want it over dry, but we do want it to be kind of like a pastry dough, something you might be rolling out for like a pie crust, somewhere around that consistency. I'm going to go ahead and set this down. So I'm going to get this where it needs to be, and then we'll be right back because we're going to jump over to the other side where I'm going to mix up the mix for the drop biscuits or the dumplings that are going to be on top of that pot over there. So back in just a minute. All right, while we're waiting on this pot to go ahead and come up to boil, this one's getting there, so we're going to go ahead and mix up this mixture of the dough for the biscuits that we're going to put on the top. So what we have is 2 cups plus the 2/3 cups. Instead of the 2 1/4 cups and a 2/3 cup milk, we're going 2 cups and 2/3 cup on the milk there. And we're just going to go ahead and add all that milk in. We're going to stir this up, and these are going to be drop style. So we're just going to take and drop these in, the dough in to the boiling water. We're going to cook them for 10 minutes uncovered, and then we'll take and cover them for another 10 minutes while they cook into nice fluffy biscuits on the top, I'd like to call them, or if you want to call them dumplings, whichever. There is no wrong word to call them. Call them whatever you like. It's all good. If you want to add more chicken broth to your mixture because you don't feel like you have enough liquid, go ahead. I used 5 chicken legs in this recipe. Now, normally that would be enough because I would be using it all just in the one pot, but because I'm doing, you know, the battle between which one the crowds like better, I'm having to split it up. But again, it's up to you. Everything we do on this channel is always up to your interpretation, what extras you want to add in. I know some folks may be thinking, well, hey, I like to add in corn or peas or different things into my chicken and dumplings, and that's perfectly fine. Whatever you want to do is a-okay. Need a little bit more milk for this mix here. It's still a bit dry. And if you find that that's the case, add a little more milk. It does need to be fully mixed up. We don't want it to be overly dry getting mixed and added to the boiling water. This is about good right here. You kind of get right away, you're going to go, okay, that's where we need to be. And you can see that this is a lot more sticky and the way that it should be. We don't have a bunch of dry ingredients in here. So we're about where we need to be here. So now this is kind of the fun part here. You're just going to basically grab some, drop it in, drop it in, drop it in all the way around. So we'll go ahead and I'll just use a spoon for this now. We'll get this one started. I have some chicken already in here. So just there's no right or wrong. Just grab a scoopful. Here, we'll do on this side. And just drop it in. It's going to go ahead, again, 10 minutes. It's going to cook up, and then it's going to rise up to the top, okay? And you'll see that after a little bit here. Up one there. I'm not going to tell you which one my favorite is until we are all done and they are on the plate. But down in the comment section below, for sure, let me know what's your favorite. Do you like them like this, where they biscuit up, or are you going to like them like I'm about to do here in a minute, where we're doing the drop dumplings into where it's more, I don't want to say like a noodle, but if you had to compare it to something, it would be a noodle. Here's the last one going in. As you can see, they're already starting to come to the top there. I'm going to put on a timer for 10 minutes. Let these go ahead. I'm going to turn the heat up just a little bit. Let these go ahead and cook up for 10 minutes. And then we're going to cover them for 10 minutes. And this is coming up to a boil. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to that side here in just a second. So we'll be right back. All right, here we are back again over on this side again. And we have taken some of the dough that we have here with the biscuit and the milk and rolled it out. We want to roll it out fairly thin. And then we're just going to go ahead and cut this into, we'll just cut like one long strip, and then we'll cut that strip down into some smaller strips. Kind of cut, you want them a little bit longer because they're going to cook down. And then we're just going to take these strips basically and just kind of start dropping them into the broth here and try and keep them away from each other when you're dropping them in there. It's going to get more difficult as time goes on, obviously, the more we have in there. But we're just going to drop them in. Move on to the next. If you find that you're sticking to, I'm using wax paper here. If you find you're sticking, just add some extra flour down. And in this case, I'll just pat it out and put it in there. but that flour down will help you. Or if you've got extra biscuit you just want to throw down, or you can do that as well. But either way, make sure that you have flour on your wax paper, because this will stick when it gets rolled out if you don't. You can see here they've gotten to the point where it's starting to fill up the top of the pot here. So when that happens, what you're looking for is you want to drop your dumplings in to where you got the boiling action going on. Because if you just drop them in here, then you're going to wind up and they're going to start stacking on top of each other. So just kind of anywhere you find a place where you can drop them in. I also thinned them up a little bit. I had cut them a little bit thick, just kind of in a rush. Didn't want to hold y'all too long. But do them a little bit thinner. That's going to work out better. Now, if you run into a situation too where you start to see like, oh gosh, I got nowhere I can drop them in, gently just kind of move some to the side, and then you can go ahead and find a new place to put them. But don't do any kind of hard stirring, otherwise you're just going to break them down. Now, the other thing you want to do every once in a while, take your spoon to the bottom slowly and just kind of gently go across the bottom, and just make sure that they're not sticking to the bottom. If they are, you're going to want to go ahead and probably make a heat adjustment, turn it down a little bit. But again, do not give it a hard stir, because you're going to break up your dumplings and it's not going to be as good. But moving on from there, we've got plenty. If you start to think, oh, it's kind of filling up, hey, there's plenty of room underneath this top layer to keep adding dumplings. So don't be afraid to just kind of keep adding them in there. Again, if it starts to get where you don't find any boiling areas, just kind of move them out of the way a little bit, and you'll see it opens right back up again. So you've got plenty of more boiling areas to go. So I've got one more batch or so here to dump in. These here, we have, now we hit our 10-minute mark as far as being uncovered. Now they're on the 10 minutes of being covered, and we'll go from there here in just a bit. And again, holding out your chicken, wait till the end when you have all your dumplings in, and we're going to add that in. So we'll see in a little bit. All right, everybody, it is decision time. So these we have cooked now. By the time you start putting in your dumplings, take this off so you can see. By the time you start putting in your dumplings, they're going to start cooking as the first ones you put in are obviously going to cook a little bit longer than the later ones that you put in. But these are going to be the dumplings that we have just basically sliced, took and rolled out the dough, and then went ahead and dropped in here. Get some more out here. And this is how they turn out, okay? They're going to be in strips. Sometimes you're like, where are they? There we go. They kind of hide on you. Okay, so we got strips of dumplings there. And that's one way that chicken dumplings is made. Now we'll take the top off of this one. And then we have this style here where basically we've dropped in the mix here, and now we have like these nice biscuity kind of things. So we've got kind of some gravy over the top, and if I cut into that, you'll see that the inside is much drier. It's like a biscuit. Okay, so we got that, and then we can just get down in here, find us some chicken, put some of the broth over top, and we have this style chicken and dumplings. So this is the type that we will just call the dumplings that got sliced and dropped in. And then we have B, the ones that cook on top. So we'll call them on the bottom, on the top, pot A, pot B, however you want to let me know. But down in the comment section below, let me know which type of chicken and dumplings you like better, you cook more often. Have you tried it the other way before? If not, give it a try. And if there's things that you add to your chicken and dumplings that I have not added, because basically it's just chicken broth, and then it's, our dumpling mix put in there, salt, pepper, that's about it. Although I personally like to dab on the Tony's. Tony Satchery's makes a nice little flavor boost to the chicken and dumplings. Just kind of what I like. You can do whatever you want. So thank you very much, as always, for watching this video. Really do appreciate all the comments that come in. I get so many nice comments, great feedback. Just appreciate each and every one of you that is always there watching and then, keeping me in check. So again, I appreciate y'all. As your first time here, if you feel inclined to subscribe, hit the like button, share. It'd be great. I'd appreciate it. But just most of all, enjoy the recipe. Make it for your family. Enjoy the food. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.